Welcome to my Solo Living Essentials series. This is for those of you who are living alone or are about to embark on that journey for the very first time. I'm going to tell you some things that people don't tell you, but they should. Where'd you go? Now you know how I've been living without you. We're going to break the video up into two categories, personal and financial. We're going to hit on the financial part of it first, since that's always the most important. And the first thing we're going to talk about is how to correctly pay your rent, because I'm sure that a lot of y'all are doing it wrong. So what do I mean when I say that you're paying your rent wrong? Well, what I mean is you're giving a large sum of your money at one time, at one specific time of the month. You really shouldn't do that. You don't have to do that. Here's why I say you shouldn't. I only say you shouldn't because, in my personal opinion, when I do that, I feel like I've just given my whole entire check away. Even though I know I haven't, it feels that way, right? Now, of course, I have a nest egg. I still have money saved from, when I was saving up to live alone, but still, I only get a certain amount of money every pay period, and so I have to make it stretch. So it kind of feels that way. One of the things that I like to do to make sure that that it doesn't feel like that is I like to split my rent into two payments. This is a game changer, and it's something that I wish we could have done, or we had the option to do when me and my sister lived in the house that we had moved out of recently. It was a nice house, but I don't think they had options where you could pay your rent. You could split your rent into two payments. I don't think they had that as an option. You had to pay it in full or not at all. And if you don't have that option, this is where you being disciplined comes in, because now you have to be cognizant and be aware that you need to set money to the side to put into your online account so that you can pay your rent. And that is what I do every month. I don't like to use the split in two option because you got to pay that money back, and I don't want to be in debt to nobody. I barely want to be in debt to the apartment complex. The second thing in this budgeting category that I'm going to say is about shopping. A lot of y'all are shopping wrong. First of all, y'all will never make me hate Aldi. When I lived with my sister and her ex-boyfriend, $150 fed three of us. $150 probably gonna get you 5 things at Kroger. Okay, go to Aldi and get your essentials. Okay, get your vegetables, get your eggs, get your bread. Especially if you live by yourself. But hell, even if you are living with a couple people, Aldi is really built to be that budget-friendly option to those big box stores like a Target, a Kroger, Walmart, things like that. Because we just ain't got it to be spending money like that. I would go to stores like Kroger and Walmart if I'm trying to, if there's a sale going on. I specifically shop at Walgreens because I am a singleton. I will shop at Walgreens and get bulk products, maybe a 42 count of detergent. I don't use detergent because I go to my sister's house and use hers, but that's not the point. Get a 42 count of the Tide Pods for, I don't know, maybe $10. You know what I'm saying? Because they have the coupons. Or get a 3-pack of toothpaste for free. Toothpaste is damn near always free. You see what I'm saying? When you learn about how, what stores will give you coupons, it makes it so much easier for you to make your dollars stretch. Especially in this economy, living alone in this economy is it feels like it's the worst time to move out. But if you are gonna do it, you at least have an idea of where you can go to get some bang for your buck. So don't skip on a Walgreens or a CVS or a Dollar General. Everything ain't got to come from Walmart. At the end of the day, next thing I mentioned is bulk buying. I specifically said it when I was talking about buying detergent. Now, I don't bulk buy, and I don't think you should either. I think the common piece of advice that we always get is that bulk buying is better, but I feel like with most pieces of advice, there's always some exceptions and some caveats. The caveat to me being if it's actually necessary. So if you're gonna buy in bulk, why are you buying that much of a product? Okay. It makes sense to buy paper towels in bulk, to me personally, because that way I don't have to go out for maybe another 6 months or maybe even a year to go out and get some. Trash bags, same thing, right? You throw away trash every single day, so it's not unusual that you're going to be taking out trash once or twice in a week, right? So buying things like that makes sense. Hell, even detergent, right? Even though you may be washing clothes every single week, doing laundry every 2 weeks, it still may make sense for you to buy a bulk thing, a big thing of Tide Pods, or a big thing of washing powder, or liquid detergent, whatever you use, right? It makes sense to do that. But when it doesn't make sense when we're buying a whole bunch of food in bulk. Like a whole bag of party wings, it should last you because it's just you, right? Little stuff like that. Now, if you eat more than that what that single serving allows, then sure, I would buy 2 of that, or maybe see if they have a bigger quantity. But I'm not gonna go to Gordon's or Sam's Club and get like a 30 or 50 count of wings. That's just too much for me. Now, if you're gonna get that amount, maybe you could split it in half. But before I spend that much money on that amount, I have to go through and split it. I'll just buy 2 bags of what I'm looking for. The last thing we're gonna touch on in the budgeting part of the video is the cost of convenience. Okay, subscription services, whether or not you should have them, whether or not they are worth the money. Well, whether or not something is worth the money depends on how often you use it. Like I said, there are always caveats, right? So what I've learned, and I've been using subscription services for a while. If you're somebody like me and you don't have a car and you need things quickly, and you find that you end up relying on them a lot more than you do like your family members or something like that, then by all means get the Dash Pass. Get the Uber One subscription. Amazon Prime is not priming like it used to, but I still think that there are maybe some some pros to having it, so I would definitely consider it. All about, it's all about what your needs are. We're gonna get into some personal things that I've learned when living alone, and there are some very, very huge differences. First difference being that when I was living with my sister, when we were in our house together, you couldn't really have your own vibe there because you're sharing the space with somebody else. But in your house, you set the vibes. You get to decide what you want it to be like. And I like a peaceful house. My house can be a little messy if I want it to be. It sometimes kind of is. And when I say messy, it's usually there's some clothes on the floor. Yay, what a big mess. But still, you can do that when the house is yours. And then the second thing is you also have freedom. You don't have to ask anybody to do anything. Now, obviously, do things that are within the terms of the lease, because if you start trying to remodel these people's apartment, they're going to put you out. Okay, so be reasonable with your freedom. But you don't have to ask. The next thing I'll tell you is to learn your environment. I lived in Memphis for a little minute, but I didn't live in the area that I lived in now. I kind of lived in on the outskirts, one of the I guess you call it suburbs or something like that of the city. I lived in the metropolitan area, I'll say that. And so living where I live now, I don't really familiarize myself with the neighborhood, or haven't yet, but I'm starting to do that. And one way that I'm doing that is with solo dates. Every month, maybe twice a month if I can swing it. I do want to take myself outside of my house and just kind of get to learning what's in the neighborhood, what's around, because I think that's important. You'll find yourself, if you're timid and afraid to go out and try to figure out what's out there, you'll always feel like, just kind of stuffed up in the house, and that messes with your mental, honestly. So like, if you don't have to do that, then don't. Like, get out of your house and learn your neighborhood, learn what goes on in the neighborhood, become a regular at some restaurants and some bars. That way people can get to know you and know who you are. Damn, like, make some friends, like do all the things, because again, you're alone now, so you don't have the people that you were living with before, whether it was roommates, whether it was family, whatever. they're not there anymore. So now and it's not to say that you need to keep some company, and that we're gonna go into my next point about this. Not to say that you need to keep company all the time, but it is good to have people outside of your family that you can hang out with and that you can talk to. I mentioned about being alone, and that's the next thing I'm going to say. Learn to just sit in your own solitude or in your own silence. Because living alone, you're going to have to do that. And I say start doing that early. I say start going out alone early. Even when if you're living with somebody right now and you're in that process of trying to move, get used to going somewhere alone. Get used to when if everybody's gone, choose to hang back sometimes and see what it feels like to be alone. Get used to the silence. Get used to there not being any noise. Like, really let that sit and sink in, because if you have to experience that for the first time, it's going to feel very weird. Your space allows it, like, host some friends over every now and again. Allow your people to see your space if you trust them, because it's a sacred thing to let people into your house. But, like, invite some people over, like host some people if that's your thing. Like, really just explore what it is to be alone. I think everybody needs that experience, because that's where you get to learn the most about yourself, and then you can kind of do that in private. Like, you can take your L's in private. You can literally cry in private. You can do stupid shit in private, as long as you don't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can just be a human being in private, and nobody has to know about it. If y'all have any tips or advice that you want to give to somebody who's living alone for the first time or who is about to live alone, y'all let me know. I'm also open as well, because like I said, I've only been doing this for 6 months, so I'm not opposed to taking advice and seeing where it applies. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, turn on the bell to get all notifications.